Okay, 22.
I technically wrote me too, so.
All right, who's gonna be looking today?
I wanted to do a backflip online the other day, it was pretty cool.
Wait, she could do a handstand too.
Romy?
Yeah.
Where did she do that?
She went to Sky Zone for her sister's meeting.
Okay, so see, I can't see, guys, this is over my head, there's no cheating going on.
I know. You're fine.
Chris is on his way.
Rebecca,
No.
Is she online? Do we have Miss Rebecca online?
I don't see no Becca. No.
no,
No.
wah, wah, sorry,
Yes,
Rebecca.
It's going to
120 next week,
Yeah.
Where's Gunner?
Gunner is at MLS committee today,
And he's not on Zoom?
is he on there?
Nope, not even on Zoom.
No, he can't, he's at an MLS committee meeting, can't be on Zoom. Shouldn't be anyway.
He's like, he does it for the money.
Yeah. Okay, so. Good morning, good morning. Today we are going to talk, I didn't bring the book because I thought we had the slide, but we don't have any slides. So we are working from the Ultimate Sales Machine. And this book was recommended to me by my trainer. And it's not really set totally for real estate agents. So I had to kind of pick and choose. So there's some things in there that are not going to apply at all. But a lot of the stuff does. And again, it goes back to the basics because a lot of this is gonna sound familiar to you. And you're going to say, oh yeah, we've trained on this before, but all the same stuff always comes into apply. We're gonna talk about time management. We're gonna talk about training. And this goes back to a couple of the other books we've read. But what he talks about in this book, it's Chet Holmes is the author. And he talks about pig-headed discipline and determination, that you have got to be so disciplined and so determined to be successful that that's the main thing that he wants you to always go back to being very disciplined, very determined. He also says mastery is not about being special or gifted. Mastery is a direct result of pig-headed discipline and determination. So you could be an unskilled agent, but if you are doing what you need to do and being determined and consistent, you will be, morning, Chris, you will be successful. So the first thing that he talks about is time mastery. And this is a very boring subject, but a very important subject. So the first training that I ever received from Brian Eisenhower when we were at Morton was time management. And he talked about the big rocks and putting them in a jar and everything else is sand that goes through. This guy talks about the same stuff. So as a group, what's one area of your business that feels chaotic or inconsistent? Do you guys have inconsistency? Chaotic, what is that? What is that part of your business?
Mine would be cold calling.
Right, you're not consistent
Mhm.
with the lead generation then, you're not consistent with lead
right.
gen. Do you have anything, Chris?
Yeah, like lead follow-up, like with my clients that I've sold stuff with. I
Yep,
feel like,
Yeah.
so Chris is not consistent with lead follow-up with, and that's SOI,
with
right?
clients, yeah.
That goes back to your SOI. Jared, do you have anything that's chaotic?
Children,
Also, yeah, the children when they run into things. I could do a better job on my client follow-up as well.
SOI?
Yep.
Anybody else? Jessica, anything you're inconsistent with that feels chaotic? Same. Jim?
Probably the SOI.
Yeah, so what is scary is that SOI is like one of the most important things that you guys should do. And that is the one that people don't want to do, right? So when you're running your own business, it means we've got to master our times and our system. Because there's nobody doing it for us, right? We don't have a boss. We don't have a boss. We're our own boss. So we've got to get our time management in control and our systems. he also talks about you have to be proactive mode, not reactive. So being proactive means you're scheduling your time, you're handling your time, you're owning your calendar so that you are proactive, not reactive. I know it is, so when we're talking about time blocking, do your clients run your business or do you? Like who
We do.
runs your business?
We-
Right, but do you let your clients run your business sometimes?
Mm,
I do sometimes. I mean, I think we all fall prey to that, right? They call, they wanna, oh, I wanna see something right now. You drop everything else. Maybe you're in the middle of your lead gen time, but instead you drop that and you're like, okay, I'll run right out and show it. That's your clients running your business, right? And we've got to get out of that habit. It's got to stop. We want to get more organized and less reactive. So he gives us 6 steps to time management. And I like this one. Check this out. So the first one is touch it once, right?
mhm.
So touch it once. So start a task and finish the task. Don't keep going back and forth. Like if you're in the middle of like say you're doing a market analysis, right? For somebody, that's important. We're doing a market analysis and your client's calling in the middle of that. Maybe don't answer that phone, like block out that time to do that market analysis. Call them back later, because if you were with on a listing appointment, would you be answering your phone in the middle of a listing appointment?
Nope.
Nope. You
Mike,
would,
Mike Ferry sets an example. If you were a doctor and you were operating on someone and you got a call, were you gonna,
Yeah.
drop what you're doing to attend to the call or?
right.
So that's why you learn, yeah.
So-
Blocking.
So what he's talking about with time blocking
Mhm.
is when you're lead gen, that should be the most precious time you guys have. Because otherwise you do the cycle of up and down,
Mhm.
up and down. If you are lead gen consistently, thanks, Jackie. You should be like protecting that time.
Mhm.
He says, if you are brand new and you do not have a full pipeline of clients, you should be lead genning for 4 hours a day. 4 hours, because what else do you have going on, right? So 4 hours a day. And he says, if you are consistent and you are busy, it still should be 2 to 2.5 hours of lead generating every single day, which should be calendared into your calendar, not willy-nilly, and everything else should go around it and it should be protected, like absolutely protected. And again, like you said, a doctor, that's a great analogy. If you're in the middle of a listing appointment and somebody calls, I don't go, oh, hey, I've got to get this. Because they're my main focus right then, right? That would be, they feel like, oh, well, we're not that important. You are important. So I think it's important for the lead gen too, to do that as well. It says, if you touch it, take action. So if you're in the middle of doing a CMA and somebody calls and you take the call, then you're off track. Then you got to get back on. You got to figure out, oh, where was I? You lose time going back and forth. It's better just do that CMA, get it finished, put that away, then block off time to return calls. If you can't deal with it now, he talks about emails because he says emails are a big distraction. So he changes the subject line in his emails so that it's very clear. Like he makes very good like if he's sending an email, he specifically puts what it's about in the subject line. And it could be the property name and what he's talking about, and then sends it when it comes back. But if it changes, because you know how people do the email threads, he changes the subject line. So when he gets it, he knows. So he can go back and reference it. And when they're sending it, he knows what it is. That's what the beauty of text, right? We look at text messages all the time. We know what they are. I can deal with that later. That's what he's doing with emails. He says, if you can't deal with something now, move it to an appropriate folder. So you're kind of put it away and then put it on a to-do list. And then you've got to go back to it. Number 2, make lists. He says it will double your productivity if you make lists. So he says the 6 most important items should go on your list for today. So typically, I like to do a list and then I like to cross off all the easy things first. He goes, no, 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 that's not what you do. You do the 6 most important things, because I think I'll just get these out of the way. But then what happens, you're left with the important tasks that you still have not conquered. So he says, do the 6 things that are the hardest things or the most important things, knock those out, cross those off the list. You're gonna feel accomplished because you got it done. And then go back to working the other things in. Plan how much time you will allocate to each task. If it's a big task, like Jackie does a lot of financial stuff, you're not gonna sit for 20 hours and do that. But what he says is break it into chunks.
Yes.
So time allocate, like I'm gonna do
Mhm.
2 hours or an hour a day, hour a day, hour a day. Plan your day. Allow 2 periods of time for miscellaneous, which could be returning calls, things that pop up, all those things. Plan 2 hours and prioritize. So he talks about stopping the busy work and focus on productivity. Chris, was that 4DX? No, what is the one, which is the one that talks about the whirlwind? 4DX.
Yeah.
That goes back to the book 4DX. They talk about the whirlwind. That's what he's talking about. Stop all the busy work. Focus on the stuff that's gonna get you business. 80% of the effort focused on high producing activities, 20% on everything else will increase your productivity by 4 times. 4 times.
80% on what?
80%, if 80% of your effort is focused on the high producing activities. And 20% on everything else, it will increase your productivity by 4 times.
And that was kind of the same thing with the 7 levels of communication.
Right,
You couldn't move on to the next thing until you finish your first 10 calls.
right, right. So it's going back, which I know time blocking is boring. But gosh, we need to do it. We have got to run our business like a business, not just willy-nilly all over the place. Oh, I'm gonna go here. You know, I know that I have this training at 11 on Wednesdays. It's in my phone, it's in my calendar, and it's every single Wednesday, it's on repeat. Because I know I don't, because I can't block before unless it's really early, and then I have to go a certain time afterwards. So, I mean, there's things that I learned from this that I'm gonna try and do about figuring out my day for the next day, the day before, right? Doing what those 6 things are. I have a master list. He says it's okay to have the master list, but get your 6 items so you know what you're doing the next day and you've got them blocked out. You need to add up the hours, because if you think he wants you to estimate, you know, how many hours is it gonna take me to do all these things? Obviously, if you have 6 things and it takes 11 hours, you've probably got a problem. You're gonna have to change something, either split something into 2 or into 4, somehow condense, but manage it as if you're reporting to somebody, as if you have a boss that you have to show them, this is what I'm doing in a day. Accountability, but to yourself, really to yourself. The last one is, will it hurt me to throw it away? Which goes back to touching it once, right? So there was a point in my life when this is bad, I was going through a divorce. This might be a little too personal, but I was going through a divorce and I had no money. So as a result, I'd get bills in the mail, right? And I had no money, but I'd look at them and mess with them. But they just kept piling. And I wasn't dealing with them, right? So then fast forward, my life turns around, it's better, I have money, but it still is a habit of things piling. So now when I get mail, right, because I don't want things piling, and I have a little bit of PTSD from that, right? I get something in the mail, I open it up. Is this a bill that I need to pay? Okay, it goes into a stack that gets paid probably the same day. Is this something I need to file? Then it gets filed. But it's quick, like I get it, it's either gonna be trash, filed, or a bill to pay, and that's it. And I get rid of it, so I touch it once, and then I get rid of it. Will it hurt me to throw it away? No, probably not. Is it something I need to file? Okay, then file it. But same with emails. Can we get rid of this? Is it something I can get it again if needed?
Mhm.
If it is, go ahead and declutter, get rid of it. If you can't, file it. Okay, so ultimately, the calendar is your boss. That's our boss, is the calendar. How many money-making activities do you have in your calendar right now? Do you guys have anything scheduled, money-making activities?
Negotiating numbers today.
Jackie's negotiated an offer,
Ooh.
that's one. I have an appointment tomorrow for to get a value for somebody for a house. That one's scheduled. What do you got, Chris?
Um. Accepting a seller counter, but I don't have it scheduled in here. It's
Yeah.
just some chaotic
That's in the whirlwind.
cosmos, yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody have lead gen? Does anybody online have lead generation time scheduled in their calendar?
What time?
Jim does. What time?
I do it from like 10 to 11.
10 to 11.
I mean, sometimes it goes longer, sometimes.
And that's okay,
They
right?
can
But
appear.
you do a minimum of
Yep.
10 to 11.
Try to.
Jessica, are you scheduling any lead generation time? No,
I had it in my calendar, but then I went numb to it being in my calendar. So like, so I need to like redo my calendar to, because I put a bunch of stuff in my calendar, but then I don't follow it, my calendar.
You know what helped me with that a little bit is, if I decide like every day I'm gonna get a nice cup of coffee to start that process, then that's my routine and that goes down, and then I know that the time's blocked up after that. Is that weird?
No, actually, that's what
That's-
Atomic Habit.
Yeah.
that's Atomic Habits.
Yeah,
If
So what? Oh,
Atomic Habits. So much of what we talk about in training goes back to these books that we've all read. Again, if you have not read it, read Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits. 4DX, 7 levels of communication.
We should repeat that.
Mm.
so Chris, what I did, cause I made a bad habit of pre-plugging in too many things in my calendar.
Yeah.
So right now, ever since, not Atomic Habits, 7 levels, when we committed to having accountability partner. So my accountability partners is missing, and Letty, so at 7 AM, if I haven't done it at 8 o'clock the night before. At 7 AM, I'm relooking at the calendar and setting in my screenshot, so I'm rewriting what I'm gonna do today. Even though in many cases, my goal is to really have it done at 8 PM the night before. But if it's not done at 8 PM night before, it's done at 7 AM when I'm texting it to them. Cause that's when they send me my text of, where's your calendar?
So you screenshot the calendar for the day.
And so then that way, it's like I'm rebuilding it every day, so then, cause I would go numb to the things I have, so like I have some things in there that I do go numb to, and so I tell myself, okay, I gotta move it here, but I still gotta do it. Cause it's still my financials, I have a habit of putting.
Well, it's weird because I use my calendar every day.
Mhm.
But like all the stuff that's on repeat in there, like all my appointments I schedule,
Do you ignore the stuff that's on
Yeah,
repeat?
it's like they're not
Yeah.
there. It goes invisible, because I do those, I do, anything new is a different color on here. So
Yeah.
I just look on my calendar to look at.
Maybe you ought to change the stuff that's scheduled to green,
Mhm.
and that'll mean money, right? Because what are the important things for agents, you know, I mean,
Mhm.
lead generation. Follow-up, escrow follow-up, marketing, education, what else? Showings. What else?
Negotiation.
Listings. I mean, these are all our impact areas, right? If we don't do those things, we're not making money. And before we can negotiate anything, we have to have clients, and to get clients, we need to do lead generation. And so I think that is the number one thing that we should be scheduling is lead gen, and it's the one that nobody schedules.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, so from Atomic Habits, that motivated me and I used that to begin working out again for the first time.
Yeah,
And I focused all my attention on it and I've succeeded. So I've been working out for like 9 months. So I feel like now, anybody that sits down and says, I'm gonna apply these Atomic Habit, helpful tasks, procedures to something, I feel like you're gonna succeed. If I could start working out for the first time since freaking high school by doing these principles, but I haven't left that mind. I haven't like applied all that towards anything else. I just focused it on that. Now it'd be real, I want to move it to something new.
And remember on 40X, when they talk about the whirlwind, Chris,
Yeah.
like you've got to pull one thing out to focus on and make it your crazy, whatever it is, wildly important goal.
Yeah.
Your wig.
Yeah.
You did that with working out, but now it's become routine. So you've got to pull something else
Yep,
out to
yep.
be your wildly important goal.
100%.
If you guys have not read 40X,
Yeah.
you need to read it.
Or
Atomic
Google the
Habits and-
summary one.
Yeah,
You've got to read it. You know, even myself, I've got to like block out time for lead gen.
is 40X isn't the 7 levels.
No, that's two.
That's different.
They're separate ones.
40X was one of the ones where she gave us a summary snippet into where we broke it down on dates. But at the same time, everyone's given the summary packet, which is like the condensed version of the book, which was still like 8 pages long, I think.
So there's nothing more. What's that? Yes, that's it. The 40X, that's it, 40X. And some of these books, I do get them in audio. I don't do as well with audio. I need to actually read it, highlight it, actually do it. This is 40X. This one is amazing. The first one I would start with, Atomic Habits. If you have not read this goes back to time management, which is what we're talking about today, so you can focus on lead gen. And then we have the 7 levels of communication. And this one was also amazing. 7 levels is the one that talks about the handwritten notes, right?
Yes.
This is the handwritten notes.
The actual realtor and how
Right.
he applied. all
It
that
is
stuff.
amazing to me, as I read these books, they all interconnect in one way or the other. It is crazy. Like, I'll be reading something, I'm like, Atomic Habits, oh, 7 levels, oh, it all blends. And they're all really preaching the same thing. It's just a different way that we're preaching it. So the second thing that he talks about is regular training. He said only 10% of our population has the learning mindset. 90% will not improve their skills unless required.
Wow.
So if you are the agent who is learning and educating, you are light years above just
Mhm.
the norm. You know, any agent can go in, Wes and I were talking about this morning, any agent can go into a listing, oh, I'm gonna put a sign in front of your house, I'm going to, you know, all these, but it's just the bare minimum. If you are highly educated, there's so many different ways that it's going to benefit you. And if 10% are self-motivated and only 90% are gonna do it if they're required, there's a big gap there. There's a lot of space there to rise above the rest. Quality training will make you money. Yep, it will. So what ways do we have? I mean, honestly, guys, you gotta do more than just my weekly training, right? Because I can't, you've got to go over and beyond that. So when you're calendaring, you should be blocking in an hour a day for education. And so in that hour, the things that I thought that we could do are scripts, role playing, overcoming objections, your sales presentation, a seller presentation, a buyer presentation. You've got to know what to do in every single situation. And it's through practice that you do that. Even for new agents, if they're not practicing, if they're not scripting, they're not going to know what to say. The more you do it, the more comfortable you are. It's easy. It's easier to handle objections. So within that hour, I would be listening to audiobooks. I'd be reading some of these books. I'd be going on YouTube. I'd listen to podcasts. There's things that you can do. He says, train or be derailed, right? So if you are trained well, you don't get derailed by grouchy sellers, weird questions from buyers because you know how to handle them. If you just wing it, it's gonna be a little more difficult. You're gonna stutter around, you're gonna have a little, you might fail. Either you train and be prepared, or you are untrained and guessing. And that made it so clear to me. It's like, yeah, do you want to guess at what to say? Or do you want to put the time in to be the expert? He just says, make practice and training a scheduled part of your day. So the ICC portal, we have Brian Eisenhower's training. You all have access to it. You can go online and watch. It is unlimited what's on that portal of anything you want to watch. I mean, it's seller presentation, it's buyer presentation, it's anything you can think of, it's on there. That Keeping Current Matters, that KCM, that's got a ton of information. If you go on there, it'll give you blogs, it gives you ideas for blogs, it gives you all kinds of things. All of those, I mean, just follow somebody. I know Jared likes, who is it you like?
Jared James
Jared James.
and Dustin Broom.
And he connects with them and he listens to them and he follows them and he learns from them.
I used to do Brian Buffini and Brian Eisenhower and, what's his name, Tom Perry.
Tom Perry. How about conventions? Yeah, when we go to conventions, and what's our thing? We always say if we get one nugget out of it,
Mhm.
one thing, it's,
Huge.
Jared and I were talking about that the other day. One nugget, one idea, it's gold, right? Any of the board trainings, sometimes they're a little monotonous, but if you can get anything out of it, going and listening to Gov when he presents, it does get a little bit, sometimes it doesn't apply to you. But if you hear some stuff about rental management, it helps you with investors, it just, any way that you can do it, but block it out. Block it out. I would block an hour a day. He talks about tactic versus strategy, okay? A tactic is a method or a technique to achieve a short-term goal. That's something you do, just, it could be, regular mail, something on social media, running ads. That's a tactic. A strategy is a carefully detailed plan to achieve a long-term goal. We want to be strategic. Tactical agents think of terms of, how do I make the sale today? Okay. What are your objectives as a tactical agent? I want to make a sale. A strategic agent wants to be respected, trusted. They want referrals. They want to be perceived as an expert. They want to have influence and they want to have loyalty. Which one do you want to be? The one who just goes for the sale, or the one who's the expert who has repeat business? That's where you're going to get referrals and repeat business. Clients will pay more if they perceive there is a greater value or a deeper reason to list or buy with you. And I think that has not been more important than now that we have the buyer broker agreement, right? We have to show our value to people, especially if you're getting a counter back on something and they don't want to pay your commission. Chris had it recently, right, Chris?
Yeah.
They didn't want to pay his commission. The listing agent, the seller countered back some 1%, some ridiculous thing. And Chris, Chris said, well, either they're gonna have to pay it or you're gonna have to pay it, to his clients. And his clients thought about paying it. They would have paid it. They knew the value of Chris negotiating for them. So you've got to come across with that kind of value so they know,
Right.
and that you are respected. And don't be that agent that's just looking for that, oh, it's the sale, it's about the sale. No, if you achieve all these things, respect, trust, all the clients are gonna follow. The business is gonna follow, for sure. Education-based marketing. He thinks it's important to show that you're the expert in the area. For buyers, you could do a first-time home buyer boot camp, or it could be a mini video series or email campaign. How interest rates affect your buying power, home buying timeline, what not to do when you are in escrow, 5 mistakes to avoid when house hunting. Those are just some ideas. Sellers, pricing your home right, top 7 low-cost home improvements that boost value. When is the best time to sell? The psychology of home staging, seller's net sheet 101. I think that one is interesting, just a net sheet. Explain a net sheet. Do sellers even know what the net sheet is until you kind of show it what it is? All these things can either be done through videos on social media, it could be a blog, it could be a podcast, it could be anything. We have you could do an informational video and send it out as a group email once a month.
I just recently, last week, I had a client call me and told me, hey, we want to sell, but I want to be straight up with you. I know another realtor and he owes me a favor. He's willing to sell our house for 1%. But we've worked with you. We really like you. We prefer to stay with you. Can you match that? And I said, no. I said, look, I understand you got to do what you're going to do. At the end of the day, it's a, $7,500 difference going with that realtor. I don't know who that realtor is. But having a good quality realtor could be the difference of negotiating and handling $20,000-$25,000. If you trust that person, you want to roll the dice with them, do that. I'll help you find a place and you can list at that 1%. And he said, no, we want to go with you. We want to go with you. And they ended up paying more and going with me. And, I think that if agents in that situation, if they get scared or they feel like obligated to do something like that, just hold your ground and then show them the value. Like,
Yes.
hey, I know what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to squeeze every little penny out. I don't know this other realtor if they're going to do it or not. But if you want to roll the dice with them, and I'll tell you, when somebody's doing the biggest sale or some of the biggest transactions of their lives, they're not going to F around over $5,000 or $7,500. So they literally like, no, we'll go with you. Yeah, you know what? I don't even feel comfortable, unless it's you. Okay, cool. Let's rock and roll.
Trust is the biggest thing. That makes our whole job so much easier.
Mhm.
Educational marketing is when you share useful, value-driven content that answers questions, solves problems, and helps people navigate real estate decisions without a hard sales pitch. That's the key right there, right?
Help me with that. You and I have had the conversation on social media. Whenever I post something related to this, there's no public interaction. Post a picture of my dog and people go crazy. And so
Yeah.
there's a fine line. I know you want to come across as the expert, but I don't want to keep putting out buy and sell with Jim, that crap.
Right. Buy and sell with Jim is not educational marketing.
Okay.
That is more hard pitch. That's what he's saying. Do not do that. Let me read this to you. Why it works. He said it builds trust. It reduces resistance, positions you as a go-to resource and nurtures long-term leads. He also gives these tips. Be consistent, keep it simple, mix formats, and always offer a next step. So I don't think it's overwhelming people with this.
Okay.
It's just mixing it in the mix. Because when it's just like, oh, buy and sell with me. Okay, who's next? Yeah, whatever, those, or the one that really rubs me the wrong way is accepted an offer in 24 hours. And I'm like, because you didn't expose it to the market, right? You didn't do it. You pretty much are outing yourself that you didn't do a good job for your seller. You didn't expose it. There are some circumstances when it does go fast like that, but for the most part, it doesn't. But I think it's a mix, Jim, of this is who I am. I'm a real person, but here's the top, here's the, even.
And maybe because they're not clicking on it to like it or whatever, doesn't mean that they're not
Seeing
seeing that
it.
you're a professional and you're doing something
Yes.
professional. They're gonna click on your dog or your kid. Or
Right, because they're like, oh, that's so cute. They're not gonna go, oh, look, Jim knows 4 good painters to use. That's so cute. They're not gonna do that. But they're gonna retain that. And they're gonna call you like, hey, I need a contractor. Who can I use? When you did the list of, like people to go to, referrals, That's why it's important to partner up with referrals and maybe once a week, do a little shout out of somebody who helped you out or did good work, or it doesn't even have to be formal. It could be, you know, here I am with Chris Dempsey, you know, at
Inspection.
a home inspection. It's putting it out there, but without, and it's subtle, right? I'm at the home inspection. This is who I use. But I think using the educational route is so much better. It takes some time though, right? You guys, and that's why you've got to block, you've got to be organized. Put that time for marketing. And that could be in your lead gen, you know, that could be calling your SOI and then doing your social media. That could all be considered lead generation,
Mhm.
however you want to time block it.
Mhm.
But I would definitely time block it and I would have a calendar. You know, I would say on Monday, like this one, on Monday, do a market education insight, on Tuesday, a buyer tip, on Wednesday, a seller tip. It doesn't on Friday, a myth buster, Thursday, local community spotlight, Saturday, behind the scenes. You know, this might be a little bit overkill, but
Mhm.
I would do it at least 3 times a week, you know, or even if it's once a week,
Mhm.
do it once a week. Just be consistent with it. And I like it so much better than, oh, I just sold another house and I'm patting myself on the back and now, you know, it's more that. This is more like, hey, this is what I do. This is who I am. You can trust me.
Mhm.
What do you guys think about that? Any ideas? Any input?
If you ask ChatGPT, it'll help you come up with a schedule.
Absolutely, it will. Ask chat. It'll tell you the schedule to do. And again, it all goes back to calendaring, right? Because if you're just doing it when you get a whim, you'll be like, oh, I forgot about that. Oh, I haven't done it for 2 weeks. Oh, I better do it again. But if you know you have it scheduled and it's in your calendar, it's no brainer. Because it's so important, guys, to avoid that ups and downs, to consistently keep that pipeline full. And don't worry about, don't count how many, I mean, I know it's important, but just keep pushing the deals in there, making the
The key is
contacts.
to, instead of counting escrows, is counting lead measures, not right
Yes,
measures.
yeah,
The little activities you did, how many times you consistently did your little activity? So if you're, like, for me, I know what I wanna do, which is, I like the idea of what I've heard is being like the community go-to. So my thoughts is I wanna, I've already been rewarded a lot from Google from giving reviews. So I wanna play on that more and be giving reviews to our local professionals. Like, I did not give enough of a big highlight to Anna's husband and what they did for me when they brought in their trailer at 5 AM right before they were taking off to Sacramento. Like, they did such a big thing and I did very little to thank them. So I want to backtrack and make sure I'm going above and beyond to thank those that went above and beyond for me.
so maybe part of your calendaring should be the day before,
Mhm.
when is getting your list in order for the next day. Maybe you should do a half an hour to make sure you've got your 6 items and your other ones and try and calendar for a month. What, you know, go a month at a time. Like, I'm going to do this on Mondays or whatever it is, whatever you're gonna do. But Jackie's right. I don't really care what your goals are, but what are you gonna do to achieve those goals? That is countable.
Mhm.
That is something that will lead to something. You know, if we're counting escrows, it's hindsight, right? It's not going forward. But what are we doing? Whether it's how many open houses a month, how many social media posts, lead gen. Like, if anything else, if you don't take anything else out of this training, you've got to believe that lead gen is the most important thing that we do to
Yes.
keep our business consistent. And if you're not doing it, you're not calendaring it, you're just kind of leaving it willy-nilly.
Yeah.
I promise you, if you put the energy in, you're gonna get the energy back out.
Yep.
It will absolutely happen.
Cause like the biggest thing, instead of counting what escrows you have, is count where your escrows came from. Like,
Right.
trickle it back. Where did this client come from? What did I do to get this person? Like, I have people I have sold to homes that in reality, they were just an accidental Facebook or MySpace ad that our relationship cultivated over
Right.
social media over the years that they see me
Right.
as a realtor expert.
right, right, I just
will
think-
be there.
yeah. So, any questions? Anybody have any questions? Thoughts? Wanna fight with me over it? No, nobody wants to fight? Chris?
No, fine, fine.
So who's gonna
Wanna
commit to
argue?
how many hours of lead generating a day?
Yeah, who's committing? Who's committing to lead gen and how many hours?
But we know Austin is.
I'm gonna start with 30 minutes.
Jackie's doing 30 minutes. Chris,
1
what?
hour.
1 hour.
At least 2 hours.
Maribel's doing 2 hours, sure.
I'm gonna do 1 hour.
One, Jim, you're already doing one, Jessica.
Okay, next question, what time?
Yeah, and put it in your calendar right now. Put it in your calendar for the week. I don't expect you to lead gen on the weekends. I don't think that's a good move. But Monday through Friday, there should be. And then let's let's be honest. Let's do it. Next week, we're gonna do part 2 of this training. And let's be honest and open about how we did. How did we stick to the schedule? Were we able to do it?
Okay, Miss Cindy Cobiana is committing to 1 hour,
Cindy's doing an hour.
Rocky is 1 hour,
Yep,
and JP's 1 hour.
there we go.
I'm gonna do an hour and 15.
Oh, Chris is upping the ante. He's gonna do an hour and 15.
Maribel already is committed to 2.
Oh, that's 2. Maribel is our winner at 2. Do we have anybody at 2 hours and 15 minutes?
Lacey's doing 2.
Lacey's doing 2. Okay, 2 and 15, 2 and 15.
Connie,
Connie,
Connie has not always been 9 to 11, and I do note cards, calls, reach out to everybody, 9 to 11. Has been
9
my,
to 11,
That's
2
2
hours.
hours.
There we go. Look how long Connie's been in business.
Mhm.
She's continued that long because of those habits. So if you are brand new and you don't have any business, you really better not be saying 2. You probably should be saying 4. 4, because really, you guys, you're not gonna be showing property if you don't have any clients, and you're not gonna be negotiating because you don't have any clients. So if nothing else, if you take nothing else out of this training, time block your lead gen. Control your calendar. Don't let it control you.
even if you work another job, commit to it.
Commit to it. Okay? All right,
I'm
guys,
putting it on repeat.
we're gonna see what happens next week.
Green,
And Chris is
What color?
calendaring right now.
what color should I use?
Green for money
green, always
or
green.
red for important. All right, guys, have a good week.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.